Hello and welcome back to the series where I upcycle unwanted books from the thrift store. If you do want to see more videos like this, give this video a thumbs up. Today's book is this Test Your Dog's IQ. It's a really thin book, but the main reason I got it is this piece of thick chipboard in the back, which could be upcycled. Sometimes bookboard can be expensive and recycling it can be a cheaper alternative. This piece was in really good condition, no warping or bent edges, no stains or water damage. The inside pages were printed in one color and could be recycled into papermaking or something else. The content of this book isn't really like that, well, if you can read the questions. If your dog had a favorite TV show, what would it be? This book is like one of those gifts that maybe people give to a dog lover and they open it once, have a laugh, and never open it again. I did think about testing these prompts on my own dog, but she was just so comfortable while I was filming this that I didn't want to bug her. Also, some of the prompts are, I don't want to say cruel, but they kind of like bug your dog. And I didn't want to do that to her, and I already know that she's pretty smart. Okay, first thing I did was remove the cover. It's perfect bound or glued to all the pages on the spine of the chipboard. Not sure what to do with the pages in the book. Maybe some of the dog pictures could be used for something. As I was doing this, I was coming up with cover ideas, which I could use those pictures for, but I'd rather put my own dog on the cover, so that's what I'm going to do with this. The old hot glue was still on the chipboard and really rough, so I sanded that off. And for the cover, I remembered that I made my dad a calendar of my dog because he's obsessed with my dog, but who can blame him? So he has an old calendar with pictures of Kona, and I thought that would be perfect for recycling into this book. This paper is really thick, so I think it could stand alone as the cover. I did consider making an album of Kona, but the pictures were larger than the piece of chipboard I had, and I kind of wanted to make a sketchbook instead, so I'm picking one photo, which was really difficult to do, and I'll save the rest of the photos for some other project. Also, the wire binding of this calendar made me want to try something I've been wanting to do for a while, which is try wire binding, and I'll get to that later. I think this photo works well with the size of the chipboard, and I want to use the board as the back of the sketchbook, but I want to wrap it in something. So I have this leftover test print paper from my paper shop. If you didn't know, I have a paper shop. You can go check it out below. I usually don't use a lot of glossy paper, but in this case, I think it could work well with the back of the sketchbook, and the calendar paper also has like a semi-gloss finish. So this letter size sheet was just enough to cover this size of chipboard, which worked out conveniently. And for this kind of paper, I like to use an extra strength glue stick to minimize warping. This is the back side of the paper, by the way. All my paper is double-sided, so there's a print on each side. Glued down the board and used a brayer to smooth out any air pockets. Trimmed off the corners, leaving a little bit of extra paper on the tip of the corner so I can fold that over. This is a thick piece of board, so that will help cover the whole thing. Glued down all the flaps, smoothing it out with a bone folder. And glued the next paper, and I trimmed this to give me about 1/4 of an inch border on the inside of the cover. I then placed it under a heavy weight, in this case a heavy book, to let it dry. Now for the cover, I'm using that calendar page, and here is how I tried to crop the best placement for her face. I trimmed the inside pages to 5 by 7 inches, so it would be a bit smaller and the cover would have a little bit of a hang. So altogether, I have 40 sheets of cardstock for my pages. I mentioned I wanted to try wire binding, so this gave me a reason to finally buy a tool I've been eyeing, which is the Cinch. I got the mini version because it's the latest that they've put out and it takes up less space. But this won't be a full review video. I will make that sometime later because I wanted to test it out on some projects first. For the wire, I'm using this 3/4 inch rose gold, and it's made by the same brand that makes the tool. Because this is the mini version, I did have to punch each sheet twice because the width of 5 inches was just too long for it. And during this whole process of making a book with my dog was staring at me from the background, supervising. I could punch through about 3 sheets of cardstock at a time, and that was pretty easy to punch through, but when it came to my board, it was just not punching. I don't know what it is about this chipboard, but it was just really difficult to punch through, and I thought I could break the tool. So I ended up just getting my screw punch out, and I thought I'll just finish this book with the screw punch, making holes. The wire didn't fit in as well. So I did some tests on other board, which was also 2mm thick, the same thickness as that board I was trying to punch, and I found that some board was easier to punch than others. I gave it one more try so the wire could fit better in this board, but my guess is that maybe some board is layered more densely than others. I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions on punching through bookboard with this kind of tool, comment below. I was able to punch it through without breaking the tool. It was fine, it went through, but man, that was really hard to do. So now the holes have like a combination of round and square. They're not perfect, but it'll work. Now for the wire, I like that it has this side section to hang it on. And for the placement of the covers, I like to sandwich the front and back cover facing each other and then putting it on like this. So that way the end of the wire will make more sense when it's on the inside of the cover. I've seen the placement different on other books, so it might be like a preference thing. That's kind of why I'm testing out this tool before I make a whole video about it, so I have time to figure that stuff out. I then have the pages on top of the covers, and then I can take it off the tool, and I trimmed the wire at the very end, so the end of the wire would be on the inside of the book. Now to cinch it, I put the wire in like this, and pushing the handle so it cinches the wire together. And because the binding is about 5 inches wide, I had to do this in 2 sections. And in case you're wondering, this part was easier to do than the chipboard. It had no problem pressing down on wire. Then I can flip the back cover over, and it's a sketchbook now. From the front cover, the binding looks pretty good, I think, but on the back it is a little wonky, which is fine. Nobody's going to see the back but me, and I'm fine with that. But overall, I like how this book turned out, and for my preference, I like the wire coil binding on the short end of a book. I think it's like less in your hand and out of the way. Plus, my dog is on the cover, so that immediately makes me want to use it more, and maybe sketch more Kona stuff in these pages. Let me know what you think, what you would have done with this piece of board. A big thanks to my patrons and members for supporting my channel. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. If you want to join, check out the links below. If you want to subscribe, do that as well. And if you want to hit that bell, you can get notified every time I post a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!